We will. What is up, everybody, on this beautiful Sunday? Listen, this is my last podcast for like about 2 weeks because I'm leaving, going to Coda, and then I'm turning around and I'll be at Road Atlanta. I will do some live Facebook videos and everything with people out there. But listen, dude, it's an absolute honor to sit down with my man, Paul Pendergrass, today. What is up, bro?
You see it. Easy Sunday morning, just hanging out, trying to get some things done around the house and clean some bikes up and get ready to tear some more stuff up.
Get ready to rock and roll, baby, for the week coming up. I hear you, man. I hear
That's
you.
right.
Dude, so listen, it's an absolute honor to have you on the podcast, man. So let's get into it, Paul. I want to know your journey, like from the very beginning. How did you get introduced to motorcycles?
It's kind of in my blood. My dad did it forever. He rode dirt bikes, Harleys. He always talked about a Honda Elsinore years ago. And when I was born, all the bikes went away. And then around 2006 or 7, he went and bought a dirt bike on a whim, worked on it, got it going, put me on the back of it. We rode around for a little bit. And then he wanted me to ride one. So he went to one of his friend's house and his little son had one. I rode it for 10 minutes and was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So he went and got me one, and I didn't ride it for like a year or two. Got it all fixed up. I was probably 10 or 11. Started riding the XR80 Honda, and then once I could actually use it, we went to an XR100, did some work to it, kept me on it for about 2 years, and then I went into the big dirt bikes. And around 2013 or 14, I started doing some hair scrambles and enduro on a KTM 300 and a Honda XR 400R. And I was just tinkering the whole time from, 15 years old, 16 years old on my own. Once I got to where I could break and fix my own stuff, then my neighbors and people in the neighborhood near us, they would bring me all their lawnmowers and four-wheelers and all that. And one day when I was about 19 or 20, I was like, dang, I want a motorcycle. I went and got one in the worst possible shape, brought it home, refreshed everything myself, got it going, got all the legal stuff taken care of, and I was off to it.
What motorcycle was that?
The first motorcycle that I owned was a Katana 750. Big, long, ugly, miniature Hayabusa.
Right. Boat anchor is what we used to call them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What it's good for.
Yeah. Right. Dude, they were nice bikes, though, for what they were. They were, a decent beginner bike, low cost. So, yeah, they were decent. So, from what we called them, the can of tunas, right? From that bike, you rode that on the street. So, you fixed it up and you started riding on the street?
Mm-hmm. So, then I went from that, I believe, to an SV650 that I got from a friend of mine. And then I got like 4 Ninja 250s, like back to back to back. I got a FZR 750 Genesis, one of the first years they made the 5-valve head. Man, I'm running up on 33 motorcycles I've had now. And I've had everything from 125 street bikes, 80s model 50 street bikes to 1000s and big cruisers and stuff. I've had about everything but an adventure bike.
Nice. So out of all those bikes, what's your favorite?
My FZ1 that I sold at the end of last year. And I've had 2 of those and then one that was almost complete that I never finished. So basically 3. It was comfortable, had plenty of torque. My favorite thing about it was you can get on the interstate and not scream like hell all the time at 75 miles an hour. Yeah. It had the legs for it. Really good value for what you can get one for. You can find a really nice first gen for $3,000 or so, and an immaculate second gen for $5,500 to $6,000. You're just not going to get that kind of value per dollar out of a newer bike, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, new bikes now. I mean, the cost of motorcycles is just ridiculous, and let's just be honest. It's you go out and buy a brand new R1 or CBR 1000 R, right?
Yeah.
Or any of those bikes. Y'all see how I did that, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it's like $20,000+, $30,000, $40,000. It's just absolutely ridiculous. When I first got my street bike, it was like $6,300 for a brand new ZX6R. Nowadays, even if you find a brand new 600 or $12,000-$14,000, it's just it's absolutely sick. Go ahead.
At the same time, in 2015, I remember specifically the H2R was coming out, and you could go on their website, and the price you see on the website is not what you're paying at a dealer.
Mm-mm.
So it's like base. That's not including XYZ fee, charge, shipping and handling, through you fee, all those things. On the website, it was $52,000. This is a dang street legal motorcycle.
With a supercharger.
That H2 motorcycle. So it's really fast and all, but it's still a 1,000 motorcycle, and it costs as much as a cheap little house that you can actually live in.
Yeah.
I'm all for luxury stuff and cool stuff, but it's just, even if I struck the dang lottery, I don't think that's where my money would be going.
No, I mean, dude, honestly, if I struck the lotto, I'd have to, man, dude, there is a couple bikes that are on my bucket list that I would love to have, right? But yeah, you're right, dude, to go out and spend, $52,000 after setup and fees and titles, and you get the top of the line, you're probably knocking 60 plus for sure. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's man. That's why I like the secondhand market, man. You find you a nice used bike that don't have a whole lot of miles on it, you save so much money. I mean, it's good stuff, man. So listen, from riding on the street, how did that transform into track days?
So it's funny you say track days. I've never done a single track day.
Really?
Which is one thing that people don't generally do, and I don't tell people to do it. I would rather everybody do tons of track days and get familiar with all that, but I've had kind of the track etiquette, flag knowledge, and things like that from being around different kinds of racing my whole life. The first time that I showed up to Road Atlanta at Cycle Jam in 2021, I had never touched asphalt on a bike, like track wise. I'd never been to a motorcycle race. I just, like you and I talked about a few minutes ago, we're talking about the TT at the Isle of Man. There's a documentary called Closer to the Edge.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I was talking to my teammate Brian yesterday, and we were getting dinner, about the zoom out from the helicopter when Ian Hutchison and then at a different time Guy Martin come flying through the countryside on that big steep one that guy went off of a few years ago. And they're playing Paradise City, and it just kind of backs out. There's that, and then there was the Closer to the Edge song where they're coming through Ballo. And I sat and thought about it. It was in the middle of the day on my lunch break when I was at the first heating and air company I ever worked at. I'm sitting there watching this documentary, and I kind of pondered getting out of dirt car racing because it didn't really do it for me. I loved motorcycles, but I always thought motorcycle racers were crazy. It cost too much. The travel was wild, And I sat and thought, I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. I'm already like 22, 23 years old. Like, if I'm going to do it, it's got to be now, because I don't know, 50, 60% of the people we see are groomed into it, at least tried it at their driving age.
Yeah.
There's tons of young guys I could mention right now that I know personally that have a great start, as fast or faster than me on the equivalent bike at 15, 16 years old. Then you have your freaking Nathan Gooker or whatever, 11, 12 years old. Yeah, Gauker, rocket shit, guys like that. And then Correa. Like, I know Juju.
My boy.
Yeah, I see that. But I got to thinking, man, if I'm going to do it, I got to do it right now. So I sold the 2 dirt cars I had and turned around and bought $1,000 SV650. It was a first gen with tire warmers, stands, couple sprockets, 3 or 4 tires, and some brakes and stuff. I threw it in the bed of the truck, signed up for Cycle Jam, off we go. And even that was a little delayed. I only got my start in 2021 because I was out riding one of my motorcycles on the street, which is something I talk trash about, was riding on the street. I was on a Suzuki Boulevard just taking a cruise after work. And it was kind of chilly, so I threw on a bunch of stuff, but no actual gear, just multiple layers. And I hit a deer, and it slung me over beside a brick mailbox. My head almost hit it. I had a broken foot, broken toe. It just filleted the suit off of me. Tons of little things like this. Lots of my freckles are missing now. And it put me behind about 8 or 9 months from when I wanted to go to the track for the first time. The bike had just been painted and prettied up. My track bike had. And it put me behind. It really pissed me off. I'm like, yeah, dude, I got to try this track thing out. Went and got me $100 suit, which was actually in great shape. Some $80 boots, some $35 or $40 gloves, and a $110 helmet, $40 back protector, and frickin' sent it. And it's kind of history from there. I think I knew right after that first one, because a month later I sold my R1 that I had. I rode out there and I was like, okay, I understand now. You know, there's no reason to ride like an idiot on the road when you can come out here and do it legally and safely. Tons of staff, and chances are you're going home shiny same day or that weekend. You didn't break the law. You had a ton of fun. You met lots of like-minded people that will help you, teach you, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to be one of those moto vloggers that go flying through traffic, and it's just not me.
Yeah, no, it's not me neither, right? And I used to be that guy, right? We all were those squids on the street, thinking that we had something to prove. You know, it's
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I'm here because I did some dumb shit, dude. Like I shouldn't be here, right? As idiot as I acted on the street, dude, running from the police on purpose. You know, and I'd go and hide, see him go by, then I'd pull up behind him and bust a wheelie, dude. I was a heathen, bro. So. Yeah, I totally understand. When I first got on the track, I was like, this is where it's at, 110%. You know,
Absolutely.
You got everything you just said, plus you got an on-site ambulance, right? You're not doing no track days without them on site, you know? So God forbid if something did happen, dude, they're right there. They can rush you straight to the hospital with, you know, God forbid you break a shoulder or a leg or whatever. But yeah, you know, I still ride on the street. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I don't squid around. All right, for best term to use. I just enjoy the ride now, right? I take it to the track if I want to go out there and act like a hooligan and think I'm Valentino Rossi in my mind, right? Because we all do. When we get out there, you're like, oh, dude, I'm so fast, I could do this. And you get out there, and like you said, somebody like Nathan Gauker will come by you, and you're like, wait a minute, he's like a third of my age, and he's just absolutely just killing it, right?
Yeah, you get a 15-year-old backing it in on a freaking Yart-looking R6. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe I'm not so fast as I think I am, right?
Yeah, don't let them crash the party, man.
Yeah, don't let them crash the party. You're right, but man, it's once you get on the track, you know, you appreciate even when you do go back to the street because it does make you a better street rider. Now you're more aware of what's going on, the potholes and in the cars. But back when I was growing up, first riding on the street, we didn't have these right here, right? We didn't have the freaking Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok. Everybody on the streets now is just in their phone all the time. You know, you see how many times a day when you're out here driving on the street, everybody listening to this, you pull up to a stoplight and then it turns green and you're sitting there for like a minute because the dude is sitting there just in his phone. You know, it's like, come on, people, wake up. It is more dangerous because of that riding on the street, but I still love to ride. My motor's blown in my 848 track bike, so and I don't have the money to fix it right now because it's expensive. Let's just be honest, right? I mean, it'd be a $4,000 or $5,000 bill, and I just don't have it. I did. Okay, I take it back. I did have the money, and I was going to do it, but I bought a 2003 RC51 instead, which is one of my dream bikes. So
yeah, absolutely.
now I got her sitting up in my garage. So every time I open it, I'm like, "Hey, baby, what's going on?" Yeah.
I think my buddy Matt Hall does the same thing with his RC51 because it's not a street bike; it's a full blown race bike, and it's cool to see bikes like that that are used for what they were built for, even years later. Like the only exception I have to that, where I wouldn't want to see one used, is when you go in the Barber Museum and that Desmo Sedici is in there. I don't want it to see daylight again. It needs to stay right there and look pretty for everybody to see. Everything else, send it.
Yeah, well, man, listen, that's one of mine on my bucket list, right? But I don't have that 80 grand. I mean, you can find them used. They're still like $55,000, right? We already had this conversation, but dude, if I'm gonna spend my money on it, I'm gonna ride it. I'm not just gonna let it sit there. I'm gonna ride it, and then she's going right back up in my living room or my bedroom or one of my rooms. And she's sitting there, right? Yeah, I just don't justify paying that much and not ever riding it. Dude, you gotta ride it. And I've seen them, many of them. Actually, I got a couple buddies that have them. And if you guys haven't heard one in real life, oh my God, they are absolutely the first time I heard one was 2008 at Indy when because I went to every MotoGP race at Indy. And yes, Cam and Co does ride his Desmo. Nathan. So Nathan Wicks is in the house. What is up, Nathan? Dude, this guy pulled up. Like, I heard it coming down the street, and I was like, dude, what in the hell is this? Like, that sound. And he pulls up, and I was just drooling all over myself. I was like, Dad, do you know what this is? This is the Desmo Sedici D16RR. Look at it. She's beautiful. I just want it. Let's go buy one. He's like, well, how much are they? I'm like, 70 grand, 80 grand. He's like, no, absolutely not. Right.
Yeah.
And then the guy, yeah, dude, it was absolutely amazing. Man, they're so beautiful. The bikes are just absolutely gorgeous. So speaking of which, what would be your dream bike you would have, Paul?
MV Agusta 312.
Nice.
Think about it all the time. And I would leave it streetwise. I would leave it with the lights and all that because I wouldn't want to race it. It's one of those that, of course, I say that I would want to ride everything I have. I would still ride that one, but I want it to be a street bike because I wouldn't want to be on a 1000 or 1078, whatever it is, all the time on the track. I wouldn't want to pay for the repairs all the time because, you think Ducatis are bad about maintenance and belts and things like that. The MVs are the same deal, just a different looking motor. Yeah. Then you got the hubs and all these other things that don't happen on an SV or a GSXR. I don't know, Ninjas. Some of those things don't happen, and you've got so many intricate parts. And it's a gorgeous machine, make a real nice noise and tons of power. But it would be in the back of my head, like, how long is it going to sound this good before she breaks a little bit? And I think that was the big thing in Moto America that kept the F3 800. I think some people were trying to do that, but a couple of people were kept off of the 300 or the F3 800 because the availability for parts and things is just almost impossible. You break something at a Moto America race that you have one of, you can't get it in months for that bike. It's a really niche bike to be trying to race a fast-paced series. Cool bike, but
they're beautiful. I had two buddies that actually raced them. I had my man Harry Cook raced them last year in BSB, and then my man Luke Power races it in World Super Sport this year. So yeah, they're absolutely. And then my other buddy, he had one. He actually raced it. Chris Lilligard, he raced one for a little while in Moto America. So yeah, dude, they're absolutely amazing bikes, dude. All those, the MV Agustas, the Aprilias, the Ducatis, anything Italian. I love Italians. I love Italian food. I love Italian women. I love Italian bikes. I mean, VR46 is the GOAT. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? Who don't like pizza? Everybody loves pizza and spaghetti and fettuccine. I mean, come on, y'all. But yeah, buddy, it's absolutely those bikes are just simply look who just showed up. My son Rossi. What is up, boy? I missed you. He just got home from my mom's house. He stayed the night with her last night. You gonna say hi to Paul?
Hi, Paul.
What's up?
What? What's up, chicken butt? Ah,
I'm gonna give him money.
I know you're gonna give me your money. He got
Are
some
you
money.
alive?
Yeah, I'm live. You see, look, you see it says live right here. See that in
What?
say,
What?
Paul. His name's Paul Pendergrass. He's fast. We're sitting here
No,
talking
I'm
about
not.
dude, Paul. Come on, man. We're talking about Ducatis and Envia Gooses and all that stuff. Are you watching yourself on my phone too?
Yes.
Well, why don't you go in there and go turn it on and you can watch me on the TV?
I watch you 4K.
Okay, well, you can watch me in 4K. Well, you just stand right here.
This game, I'm gonna get butt coins.
Okay, cool. Let me finish this, bud, and I'll holler at
You're
you.
a butt coin.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
You gonna come in here and give me a kiss real quick?
Sure.
All right. Say hi to Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Give me
Hey
a
there,
kiss.
how are you?
Wow, I love you, Mom.
Love you too, sweetheart.
All right, I'll call you later.
All right.
All right. Now we're back. That's awesome. My son always busts up in here every time I podcast. So it's cool.
So Rossi, did that come from Valentino Rossi?
Listen, I named him after Valentino Rossi and Nikki Hayden. Hayden
Mm.
Rossi. That's where the whole Hayden Rossi
Oh,
comes from.
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you know, when my wife told me she was pregnant, real quick story, man. I was actually just pulled up to my buddy's house. I owned a K10 Chevy truck, old school, right? Yes, you can still lock your keys in the truck. So I would just pull up in his driveway, put it in park. My wife calls me. Well, she was my fiance at the time. And she's like, "Hey, are you sitting down or something? I got to tell you." And I'm thinking, "Oh shit, what's wrong?" She's like, and then she starts busting out crying. "I'm pregnant. I hope you're not mad at me." And I was like, "Hell yeah, this is freaking amazing. Are you kidding me?" And I jumped out the truck and I had already locked the door and I shut it. So my truck's running. Right, my doors are locked. I'm at my buddy's house. My wife just told me she was pregnant, so I had to run in the house, borrow something to break in. I think he had a Slim Jim or something like that. I finally got my truck unlocked. But yeah, I come up with this. She's coming up. Everybody's coming up with all these names, and I was like, absolutely not. Well, what if he's a girl? I was like, it's gonna be a boy. I promise you, it's gonna be. I want a boy. It's gonna be a boy, right? Of course, we go. It's a boy, and I was like, Hayden Rossi. That's going to be his name. We're going to call him Rossi, and that's it. That end of story. And she's like, "Okay, we can do that." So I wanted to name him Valentino at first. I mean, no bullshit. I did. I was like, Valentino Rossi. She's like, absolutely not. He's going to get made fun of. I was like, nobody's going to know. We'll just call him Rossi anyway. She's like, nope, we can't do it. So Hayden Rossi it was. But yeah, that's how that come to fruition, which is kind of funny because my man, big shout out to Steve Rossi and Rossi Moore. That's how Steve come up with his name with Rossi too, after Valentino Rossi. And he wanted to name him Valentino Rossi too. So we had a long phone chat. We was just everything about our whole between our two kids was just almost the same story, except for my son don't ride. But other than that,
right.
It's crazy. But Logan Hall says, Paul, do you still race? Not right? You still race, right?
I do. I'm not in the WERA Southeast or even National now, but we're doing endurance. So starting in May at Cycle Jam, we're going to do a full season of endurance on my CBR 500. Going to try it out in ultralight, see how it does. I personally haven't seen anybody on that bike, but I've got some hopes for it. It's going to be me and my teammate, Brian Fairchild. He lives in West Columbia, South Carolina. So it's going to be us two on the ultralight. I've kind of stepped back from, like I said, the regional and national. We're doing a lot of flat track and things like that to take up the time and save a little money. Also, putting all our energy into the endurance bike soon and see where it takes us. But yeah, I still do. I wish I could do more. It's just impossible to juggle work, life, finances, racing all the time because there's races out there. You got to pick and choose which ones you're going to do, you know, and I think I really want to do endurance for a full season. If that's not my thing, I'll still do it all the way through until October at Barber. But I think we're going to like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think you will. You know, endurance racing, you get a ton of track time. You know, it's not just sprint races and stuff. Look at that. Are you rich? Look at all that money. Give me some of that money.
Tires.
Yeah, man, give me some of that money.
I spent some last night. Really?
I know you did. I know. I see. Rossi. Hilarious. All right, so endurance racing. I only did one endurance race. That's it. It was a 40-minute endurance race out there at CCS in Phoenix, Arizona. I had a lot of fun. Actually, it was my best race I ever did. I ended up 7th out of like 30 people.
Right on.
It was crazy though. I was young, 19 years old, I'm still full of energy, in shape more so than I am now. Right. I thought it was going to kill me. I was tired afterwards, but man, I had so much fun. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. Cause look how much track time we got versus just a sprint race, you know?
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Okay. I appreciate it, bud.
I have $30
Do you have kids, Paul?
No, don't have.
Make sure you shut my door. No, bro, dude. Hey, my son is my everything, and he always pops up in here. I think he likes the idea of him being on camera. It's almost every podcast he always comes in and says something. But I wouldn't trade him for the world for sure. But yeah, dude, back to endurance racing. It's so much fun, and the CB500, man. I think it's going to be a great bike. To run there, and you're not the only one that runs a CB500 in that class.
I see tons of Ninja 400s and KTM 390s. As far as the Wera N2 type deal, I haven't seen any CBR 500Rs unless I missed one. And even sprint races, unless I wasn't paying attention, I haven't seen many of them. But like Cameron Jones, who raced Moto America, he did Junior Cup on a CBR 500.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They did a lot of R&D themselves because they run a shop, and it actually fared pretty well. So I have hopes for it. It feels like a small SV when I ride it around.
They're nice bikes. I had a buddy that bought one of those, a CB500. It was, man, this had been several years ago, but he absolutely loved it. He kept it for a couple years and then ended up, what did he get? I think he ended up getting a Busa.
Oh no.
Yeah, man. I'm just not a fan of Busas. Never have been. I'm just not a big fan of those big bikes. I mean, they're just so big. I've ridden them, right? I had a chance to ride one. I'm like, yeah, sure, right? You only live once. Yeah, let me take it for a spin. It's comfortable. I ain't gonna lie, and yeah, it's absolutely fast. But dude, it's like this. It's just big, right? It's almost uncomfortable how big it is.
They're like 570 pounds.
Dude, it's again a boat anchor, but a super fast boat anchor, right? For sure. But dude, so your CB500, you're going to be the only one out there. Do they make a whole lot of race parts for like rear sets or anything for that, or is it something you got to custom?
Back to Cameron Jones. I mean, he does all the R&D, so you can ship your computer off to him and get it back with whatever tune that you want. Say that you have X, Y, and Z done to your bike. He's already done this in preparation for Moto America and saved all the files, so he can dyno tune your stuff and load the files onto there, whatever you want. You tell him where you live, which I'm sure he factors in the altitude and stuff, and you say, I have this style exhaust, this style intake, or say, hey, it's bone stock. You say, hey, I want to do this cam, or I'm leaving factory cams and cam gears and stuff in there. He's already tried all the different combinations, and he just goes and drags that into the file and loads it onto your computer and sends it back for pennies on the dollar compared to a Power Commander or anything else. So as far as like parts support, you can get about any kind of rear sets you want. It's got 41 millimeter forks on it. So there's tons of lightweight and middleweight bikes with that circumference fork on it. So you can get any kind of clip-ons that you want, any angle clip-ons. The threads in the top of the forks are pretty universal. So you can get cartridges that drop straight in. The springs are universal to lots of their other bikes. So if you cannot find it for that bike, you can take the measurements and you're like, oh, this is the same crap as a 300 parts, which already has support, But no, they're out there. Hot Bodies, I ordered a body kit from Hot Bodies 6-7 months ago or so. Really good quality, just super stiff and hard to get on because the front end is like 7 or 8 pieces. The nose fairings on race bikes, it's like that big up and down shape like that, sticks out over the nose. It's like 6-7 pieces on a CBR. and it's one piece with the hot body. So you're like turning and opening and twisting, and once it's on, it's freaking on, dude. Yeah. No, the support's out there, parts are out there. 160 rear tire. So any factory SV style tire is going to be at the track anyway. Any Bridgestone, Dunlop, Pirelli, they're all going to be there. So you have tires available for it. The front's a 120. Just about anything takes a 120. Brakes are the only hard thing to find for them. Finding a big nasty floating rotor or something like that, because Cameron was telling me that when you really start pushing that bike specifically, you are killing the front brakes because it's a heavy bike. So to break down into a turn just like you would on a Ninja 400, you're carrying more weight, and it's still single rotor because it's a lightweight bike technically, and you will cook a rotor.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that's hard to find.
Yeah, yeah, but you can put a different set of front forks and use the brakes off the another bike on there, and now you have dual rotors, right? Depending
on rules, the ultralight is based off of, I believe, the super stock class. So whatever bike you have, there's a couple of different rules than straight out of the Weir rule book. Super stock versus super bike. I don't think we're allowed to upgrade the front. It's got to be all factory dimensions, and like I can't go get an inverted CBR 600 double R front end or a Fireblade front end and throw on there and just be able to one finger the brakes and lift the rear off the ground. I don't think we're allowed to do that.
It would be a lot cooler if they did, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's awesome. So Logan Hall, man, what is going on, Logan? He says, Paul, how long would you race for? I'm assuming he's asking like the endurance races. How long are those? Yeah.
Hour at a time. So the ultralights are 2 hour. The lightweights and medium weights and all the big bikes during the N2 and Wira, their races are 4 hours or 6 hours if it's at Pitt, I believe. It's either Pitt or Summit is the one that does a 6 hour. Most of them are 4. The ultralights, which is what we'll be on, are 2 hour. So instead of me wanting a 4-person team, I'm going to have just Brian and myself. We'll do an hour stint or roughly an hour stint a piece. We'll come in. So I'll probably start. I'll do roughly an hour, 55, 57 minutes. Pull in, refuel, yell something at Brian, look at tires real quick, click, adjust a couple things, send him on his way, and then he'll bring it home.
Nice.
So, yeah, an hour stint at a time, just like we did in January at Jennings. It was Billy Pridgeon, my buddy from Atlanta, Brian Fairchild, my teammate, and myself. We went to Jennings at like the end of January and did the Separano Endurance, the one-off thing. Pretty cool little event, nice little track, especially for a small bike. And I surprised myself because I thought I would be gassed after an hour stint. But I came off the bike still breathing through my nose because I do heating and air, so I'm used to being just uncomfortable and hot and stuffed and have something all over me all the time. I came off the bike, in through my nose, out through my mouth, and Brian's like, man, sit down, let's get some air on you, let's get you some water. I'm like, I'm good, dude. Let me look at these tires real quick. Sat my gear down and slowly got out of my suit, and I was like, yeah, I can probably do some endurance.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was going to ask you what you did for a living, heating and air, man. That's that's an awesome job. And you're right. You go in attics and it's freaking in the summertime. It's 160, almost 200 degrees. You can only stay up there for like 10 minutes at a time. You got to come back down. Mm-hmm. Heat stroke and all that. And then, running the line sets and obviously, I have a little bit of knowledge about it. Yeah, man, it's a good trade to be in, man. It really is. And we got Ben Lee up in the house. What is up, my friend? Ben says, good morning, good afternoon, guys. Then he says, you definitely got to be in good shape for endurance racing. It's a fact. 100%. It is. So who's all on your team, Paul? Let me ask you this, right? You and your other rider,
Brian,
right? But who
and
else?
My friend Glenn, he just moved from Columbia back to Wilmington area where his family lives. He's been running some of these events with us. He goes and hangs out, races, does everything we do. But as far as actual teammates, I have Brian, who's a rider, and then my good friend Mason Adams. Mason will meet us at the races or ride with one of us, brings tons of stuff. He'll go do paperwork and stuff for us for registration. He knows enough like belly pans and checking oil level and things like that to take up the slack while we're like trying to do either suspension work or brake work or something like that he might not know specifically. He knows, like tire pressures. He knows what we want. He knows to work the tire warmers. He can do all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, it's like half of the stress goes away when you have a team. Whereas it started out, I was kind of freaking out to have other people on the team because, like, what is this person doing? I need to get this bike on the track. We need warmers right now. We need this. Is it full of fuel? Is the oil fresh in it? Did you change it before you got here? How do the tires look? The suspension set up right? All these things that I'm used to doing 100% myself are now being distributed because people know what they're doing half the time, And anytime I get on the bike, they make third call. I'm just pulling my helmet strap and looking at my gloves again, sitting on the bike. As soon as I sit on it, somebody taps me, they drop the stands, and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
This is nice right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't understand it. It's a lot. It's imperative that you have at least one person there because when you pull in, they need to put the rear stand on. You get off, do the front stand, check the brakes. Yeah, exactly what you just said. It takes your mind to, so now you got more time to focus on the task at hand, which is having fun and going fast, right? And being safe too as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, absolutely awesome, man. So let me ask you: are you going to the Road America? I mean, Road Atlanta at the end next weekend? Not this weekend, but next weekend for the first round of Moto America.
No, I'm not going to that one. The next time I'll be on track will actually be my first track day at the tail end of this month. I think it is at CMP. Nice. Been racing for 3 years, but about to do my first track day, right? So,
That's
and
awesome,
I'm hoping to have that 500 like painted and ready to go. I'll have my forks finished and shock put on and have the tires I want on it. I want it to be like in race trim, show up and have all day to dial it in or figure out what the weak links are.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna break something, I want to do it right before we set sail on the thing, in a lower stress environment. Like I know CMP, it's an hour from my house. Brian lives an hour away from there. He's going to be there on one of his bikes. We're going to be trading off on this 500, figuring out, okay, well, what was uncomfortable for you? Do we need to move this? Yeah, the bars did feel like that. Let's move them a little bit. Brake levers down a little bit. I want everything to be race ready as soon as we pull up to Cycle Jam in May.
It's a good to think like that and to do that, right? And you're right. A lot of people don't realize when you do endurance races and you have a teammate, not everything's the same. One might be a little bit taller, one hands might be a little bit larger, so you got to find that happy medium between both teammates, because you don't have a lot of time when you pull in the pits to make all those adjustments. If you have to make any, they're very, very minor, like you said, a couple clicks here, a couple clicks there, and go have fun, friend.
Absolutely.
Let's get it done. So let me ask you this: why the CB 500?
I think it was because the Ninja 400 is so popular. Even though there's a ton of them, I think they're pretty dang popular, and the value has really stayed the same on them. Everybody rides them. It's just a culmination of like 10, 15 different things. And then I came across a stupid cheap CBR 500R, and I went and got it. Brian went with me, and we got it near like Charleston or somewhere. Brought it home, and I was like, okay, I can get it to run. It will fit into the rules. It's lower RPMs, more torque, little bit bigger motor, but all that's made up by the horsepower and the RPMs of 400. So it's not really an advantage. It's just a trade-off. Yeah. And we're used to riding dumpy SVs and stuff like that. I'm thinking, like, on paper, this thing's a smaller SV. It's not a miniature ZX6R. So anyway, I'm planning on building this really trashy looking CBR 500R, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, a nice one that has done one track day and still had tape on the headlights and stuff, it pops up. And I offered the guy one of my vintage Midnight Special bikes, and he's like, yeah, I need something to ride around the pits on. I'm like, all right, well, if I can separate with this thing, I'll go get it. I go get the bike, test rode it, brought it home, and took it up the road. And I was like, holy crap, I think this thing will work. It just, you're feeling it accelerate, and it's not singing E notes at you. You know what I mean? It's just thump thump going down the road. It's got room for your freaking knees, and you can get into a tuck without having to do this here, or stick an arm behind you or some weird crap. There's just room for it. And I was like, I called Brian right after I brought the thing home, and I was like, dude, this is what we're gonna do. And on top of that, you have to have suspension and tires, things like that for a track bike. You go get a Ninja 400 and you go to get a shock for it. What options do you have? You got maybe KYB, Showa, Olin's, Andriani from Spears. You've got DMR can take your factory stuff. But how much money are you going to have in it? You get this 500 and you can get the same options, or Penske, a QA1 or something like that. It takes a CBR F4 shock. I bought one looking beautiful with dog bones on it and everything, shipped to my house for $36.
Thank God for eBay.
Yeah, what the heck, dude? Even if you go to Mids and Sumter and pull one off an F4 and have Tyler Smathers from Two Wheel Suspension, a great guy. You have him freshen it up at the track or something. You got less than $200 in race suspension. You don't have to change the spring because it's already better than what was on there. You can put springs and oil or cartridges in the front, and instead of $3,000 to $4,000 in suspension on a budget bike, you've got like $500 in it.
Yeah,
that sounds good to me.
Me too. Absolutely. That's cool, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to send it. You have to send me some pictures of it once it's done. Yeah, dude. Actually, you're gonna have to give me your address so I can get some Pendergrass stickers in the mail for you so you can put them on the bike.
I need one. I'll throw one on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, it'll add like at least 50 horsepower for sure, right? So yeah, you have a little advantage right there. Yeah, dude, that's awesome, man. Dude, like I said, I really enjoyed my friends when I rode it. I was actually impressed. I was like, dude, this thing's got some get up and go. It's that torque. I'm a huge fan of V twins. Yeah, I mean, of course, I ride inline fours too, but man, I prefer a twin. I love that torque. And to me, it's like, how do I explain this? Psychologically. So when I'm on when I'm on a twin, it's deep, low tones, even when I'm at full chat, right? It don't seem like versus an inline four, when I'm at 14,000 RPM, man, it sounds like freaking the world's gonna blow up, right? And it's just high pitched all the time. So to me, it feels like on a twin, how do I want to say this? It feels a little bit more natural when I ride it because of the torque, and it's not so loud. All right, even though some of them are loud, it's that psychological thing, right? Instead of it's that and it don't sound like you're doing warp 9, but you look down at speedo, you're like, yeah, I'm definitely doing warp 9, right? So I have to me, I feel like I can concentrate a little bit more instead of just my ears ringing. Even though you got earplugs in, they're still loud. I don't care what anybody says. Even with earplugs in, they're absolutely, especially if you got a high dollar helmet on your head that flows air, that's loud too, so you got the combination of two. Good stuff, Paul, man. I can't wait to see it, man. I know you're gonna kill it this season. So let me ask you this: how did you and Paul McKee hook up?
Man, I saw him at what was that, Barber at I think it was GNF last year. I saw him because I'd been seeing that tricked out 300 he had, and I'm like, wait, I have one of those. I went and talked to him, like, hey, man, mine's like 2% better than a street bike. And this one right here is like mucho better. Like, can I stare at your bike for a minute? So, yeah, dude, go ahead. We'll be right back. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to check this thing out. And we started talking about it because it's such a trick looking bike. And I mean, he's a good rider, super respectful, just nice guy. And then we went to chapel with Mr. Mark Miracle the next morning on Sunday morning, and he was in there telling stories. We were talking back and forth, and then we finished up chapel. And I was like, "Hey, man, let's keep in contact because I'm probably going to be racing one of these next year." And so we just kind of seen each other off and on. We message occasionally, and like we raced at Tally 2 months ago or something. Good time, man. Really good guy in the pits.
Yeah, Paul's amazing. It was an absolute honor to have him on. We had a great conversation. He's love Paul to death, man. You too, man. You're an absolute legend. I love you to death too, man. This is absolutely awesome, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, dude, no problem, Paul. Dude, I love talking to everybody in the industry. I think it's very important, whether you're a professional racer, you're up and coming, you're an endurance, WERA, CCS, wherever you're at, right? I love talking to everybody. That's helping the sport too, as well, right? So far too often, not a lot of people get an opportunity to tell their story or have their opinion told or their views said, right?
Absolutely.
To me, it's very important to have everybody on, from very beginnings to your first track day to you don't want a championship. Everybody's story is just as important. So is the guys that change the tires, the mechanics in the pit, the corner marshal workers. I mean, everybody has a part to play in what I call our beautiful circus, right? Because that's what it is. Whether you're endurance racing or you're at Moto America or BSB or wherever, it's yeah. So let me ask you this, Paul. Do you have any not crazy? Do you have any superstitions that you have? And what I mean by that is, how do you mentally prepare for a race before you go out? Do you meditate, listen to some music, do some stretching, left boot on before your right boot, lucky socks, lucky draws, anything like that?
So I see a lot of people that have them. I try not to have anything like that intentionally, because when I was getting ready to go on track the first time, of course, you're like trying to overlearn and cram all these experiences from everybody else into your head and learn from them. So you're listening to shows like this, or you're listening to YouTube videos of people giving advice for first time track riders and things like that. And there was a British fella, I can't remember his name, but he's like an online coach who can review your footage and walk you through it. And he said, you want to have certain things in place, but you absolutely don't want superstitions, because the first time you don't have your freaking bow tie socks on and you don't put the left one on first because you hear third call and you're freaking out, you're going to go out there and that's what's going to be on your mind. You're going, like I said, you're going to freak out. And the track is not a place to do that. Your head's got to be clear. You need to have no stress on your mind, or either leave it at the pits when you go out there. And you want to be okay with things not being perfect, which is odd for me to say. I'm sure a lot of people will think, because I stress about little things. But when I go to ride, I want to be okay with the current state. I want to know that I've got my gloves on and adjusted. I want my helmet adjusted a certain way. I want my earphones in, or plugs, whatever I've got. I want my boots to be tight and feel right. But I don't want to think, oh no, the first time I didn't like wipe my sweat off with my pink towel or something right before I get on the track, that something's going to happen. The first time I don't listen to this song right before I go out. And Brian and I will be blasting like some Welcome to the Jungle or Fly Away or freaking Freebird or something like that before we go out. But we try not to get particular about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's you're right. You said it, it's if you have these rituals and you have these superstitions, it does take away, because what if I didn't do this? Or what if I didn't do that? Yeah. Right. Then that just plays on your mind when you got more important things to concentrate on, which is the task at hand, which is going fast and having fun, don't worry about anything like that. Yeah. It's, what I do is I have a little conversation with myself in the mirror for a couple seconds before every podcast, because I get, my anxiety and this adrenaline and all this stuff's going, emotions are going through my head. It's just like when I do a track day or I get on and I go right on the street, it's all that build up anxiety until I sit down in front of you and you come on, then all that goes away. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of my little ritual. And I didn't notice I was doing it, and my son's the one that called it. He's like, you know what I noticed, Dad? I was like, what's that? He's like, right before all your podcasts, you go in the bathroom and you talk to yourself. Why? And I was like, I do? He's like, yeah. And I was like, so I just was more aware of it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I do. I have a little conversation with myself. It's pregame is what it is. Right. And no, this is not beer. This is liquid death. So.
But no, sometimes I'll have that conversation with myself, at a place like Barber or Tally that has nice restrooms and things. I walk in there for a race and I'm like, man, you look rough today. And then I just kind of think it gives me a minute by myself. So sometimes if I need that, I'll go do it, but there's nothing specific I can't live without on the track.
Yeah. Me too. Like if I, there's times where like I didn't have, like I was rushing home from work to get the podcast because it's starting at 5 and it's traffic's already. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally going to have like 6 minutes. Come home, throw my back shirt, a hat, fire up the computer, sit down, boom, it's go time. So I don't have that opportunity to do that. And I'm still just okay with it as if I do have time to do it. Right. So
right.
Yeah, it's mind over matter, just like my man Bentley just said. Absolutely, man. Listen, dude, we're 50 minutes into this, and it only seems like we gotten started. I told you it's gonna fly by. It always does, but no worries because we're gonna have a part 2 with Paul coming up. I actually want to get Paul back on mid-season for his endurance season. That way we can do a recap. Mid-season and at the end of the year, we're going to get Paul back on. We can talk about the end of the year. But I want to get into my favorite part of the interview where I ask, I want to get to know Paul away from motorcycles and all that. But before we get into this, Paul, I'm going to ask you, what suit are you wearing? Boots and gloves and helmet?
So the suit that I currently have is a Kangaroo Technique suit. It's a Technique Task, I believe it's called. The boots I wear are Axo Aragons. They have this clicker on the back of them. You press and turn it, and it tightens up the steel cables on the front like laces. And when you come off the bike, you just pull it, and it loosens everything up. So I fit more of an Adidas Asics type shoe rather than a Nike or Converse or Vans. So Alpine Star stuff, I'm sure it's great gear, but I freaking hate it because it doesn't fit me right. The gloves don't. Like even my gloves, I have IXS. Can't remember the series. They're IXS gloves. Then I have some Sedici gloves just because of the way they fit for backup. My helmet, I have an HJC. I'm thinking about going to a Bell, maybe a DLX Flex or something like that. Race Star, I don't know. Whatever's in the budget. But right now I've got 2 HJCs. I have a backup Sedici suit. I wear the Technique all the time. I have some Dainese, whatever you call them, race boots, but I wear the Axos all the time. And then I have a Climb airbag suit or airbag vest. But normally, honestly, I just wear my Alpine Stars back protector. Yeah. I don't have an undersuit. I like Under Armour compressions, like the 2-piece better. I'm sure if I bought an undersuit, I would like it, but that's my gear lineup, man. And then I have Skull Candy headphones just because they're silicone. And I don't know if I'm just incompetent, but I cannot get regular earplugs to go in and stay in. They get loud after about a lap.
Yeah.
So I put my headphones in. They kind of stay and they don't move back and forth.
Nice, man. That's a nice setup. I got a set of Dainese torque out boots. I got a brand new set of Alpine Star Super Tech R boots, but I got the wrong size. They're a 10.5. I actually need a 9.5. So I'm actually going to sell them, and I'm actually thinking about buying some Forma boots because I have a couple friends that wear them. They absolutely love them. So when I go down the road to Atlanta, I'm gonna try them on and see how they feel. Right. As far as suits go, man, I need a new leather suit. I just threw my old one away. I kind of wish I'd have kept it and sent it off and made like a backpack out of it or something, but whatever. So I'm definitely going to get me a new leather suit. My gloves that I do wear, of course, I got the freaking $400 Dainese, carbon full metal, blah, blah. Dude, honestly, they're nowhere near as comfortable as my Knox Handroid gloves are,
Yeah.
which were like $250, dude. Kangaroo
Yeah.
leather, they're absolutely amazing gloves. Or my RS Tachi gloves. Man, those, honestly, hands down, those RS Tachi gloves are probably the best gloves. From brand new, as soon as I stuck my hand in them, there was no break-in. It was soft. It was supple. It was like, dude, these are like the perfect gloves ever in the world, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it's like so I'm big into guns, right? I have a lot of guns. We love to go shoot, me and my family, and it's like buying a concealed holster for your weapon. You're going to go through 15 concealed holsters before you find one that's comfortable, no matter what they say. Oh, it's the most comfortable, in the waistband and this and that. Absolutely not. It's something you need to go out and try on for yourself. And unfortunately, you can't go to a gun store and try on a bunch of different holsters, right? You've got to buy it and then try it. Same thing with leather suits, unless you go to a place that's just stocked with RS Tachi and Alpine Star and Day and Easy and Technique and all this stuff, which there's none that I know of. You can always go to what's it called? Cycle
Gear.
Where they sell those Sedici. I've never had a Sedici suit, but I do know some people that wear those too as well. So yeah, man, good stuff, Paul. Good stuff. So listen, let's get into this. What is Paul's worst habit?
Oh man. I think procrastination. Maybe not for everything, but I get home at the end of the day, and let's say I've been productive all day. I will sit there and either mess with my phone or do useless little busy work late at night when I know I got to freaking get in the shower and go to bed, lay my work clothes out, make something to eat for lunch. And then I'm in there marketplacing or like folding a towel or like moving stuff and vacuuming couple square feet under a table I haven't moved. I don't know, dumb stuff. And then I look at it, I'm like, oh wait, 45 minutes ago I was ready to take a shower and go to bed. Here I am wide awake, like reading drink labels and stuff.
Right. No, it seems like the older you get, man, there's not enough time in the day, bro. It's like, where'd the time go, And then when you want to sit down and actually feel like you have a little bit of time for yourself, just you, it's always that, right? I'd like to try to be in bed by 10 p.m. and get up at 5. I don't always work that way, but yeah, I feel you on that, Paul. 110% I do. So tell us, Paul, something nobody knows about you.
Ooh. Geez, I don't know. I nerd out over certain things, like maybe not electronics or games or things like that, but the way that I guess appliances and stuff work from doing heating and air. I'm used to like the refrigeration side of it. So I'm sitting here looking at my range hood in my kitchen. I can hear my fridge running. I think about those things constantly and how they work. And if it's dirty, if it can work better, things like that. And I think it's the same thing I nerd out about with bikes, because I could go riding without music all day and not come home until I'm physically extremely sore, because when I'm riding, every RPM, every clutch pull, every shift, I'm listening to it and I know it mechanically, so I can see a shift star turning. I can see the cable being pulled or the piston pressed in. I see the motor moving. I see the rings spinning around inside the motor as the pistons go up and down. Those kind of things, they're in my head constantly. So I think that maybe not that it's something nobody knows, but that's the biggest thing I don't like talk about, I guess.
I love it, dude. It's good stuff. It's funny you said that, because I think about that too, because I'm a mechanic. So when I'm listening to my bike, I'm like, I'm seeing how it works. This is cool, right? Because you understand it. I've tore motors apart and rebuilt them and blah, blah, blah. So let me ask you this, Paul. If you can do any track day in the world, right, at any track, what track is it going to be, and what 3 people are you bringing to the track with you? And they could be anybody, any road racer, dead or alive, any family, anybody. What 3 people you bringing to you, and what track you doing?
Ooh, I think I would go to Coda because it's a GP track, and I love my country anyway. Or either if I could go ride around Monaco or something, that's about the only other one outside of Coda I think I'd like to do. But as far as the 3 people that I would bring, would probably be Brian, my teammate, because I'm so used to being at a track with him, and I'd like to share that for relevance. And then maybe Giacomo Agostini, Mr. MV guy, and maybe Keanu Reeves, man. He's a bike guy, big time bike guy.
That's my favorite actor in the world is Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu Reeves. He is absolutely amazing. Yes, he's into motorcycles. Dude, yeah, I love that you said that. That's freaking awesome, man. Who's your favorite road racer, Paul?
Currently, Michael Dunlop. When it comes to that style road racer, more of like the Moto America type deal, or I mean, in GP, it's Pecco for sure. I love Francesco. He's great. But now like Pedro Acosta, super cool to watch. Yes, he's crazy. Moto America, my boy Shane Maggs, man, when he goes. Shane's a good friend of mine.
Shane's my homeboy, man. I had him on here. Absolutely amazing guy. He is, absolute legend. So, dude, I get asked this, dude. It's of course it used to be Valentino Rossi. It still is the GOAT, man. How can you not love Valentino Rossi? But as far as like road racers today, who's my favorite? All my friends that road race, whether you're in BSB, World Superbike, Moto America, I got friends that race the TT. All you guys are my favorite. Not Francisco Bagnaia, none of those. Meaning that if I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna spend my money on somebody's t-shirt or somebody's hat, I'd rather buy your t-shirt and your hat to support you and help you out, right? Versus going out buying a Jack Miller t-shirt at $50, which he's already got millions and millions of dollars, right? So yeah, that's and Paul McKee too, of course, is my one of my favorite racers. He says, "I'm your favorite racer. Don't lie, Pendergrass."
I love it. Super good time every time he's there.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm looking forward to meeting all you guys in what I say real life one day. It's going to be an absolute blast. So listen, Paul, if you had your own island that you lived on, what's the one racetrack you're having on your island?
I want the TT Mountain Course, man, because that's a pretty big freaking island.
Dude, that's the first answer for the TT. I absolutely love it. I'm going to live there too. 110%. That's good answer, man. Good answer. So let me ask you this. I'm a big audiobook listener too. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Is that something you do too as well?
No. Funny enough, I don't even have a TV in my house, dude. So I'll listen to like instructional videos or things like this, or just bike talk or reviews, or I mean that's really about it. I don't do much entertainment wise. I don't watch sports. I don't really watch shows that often. I've like seen The Witcher. I really like The Witcher, but book wise, I read articles and stuff and like technical write-ups. I haven't read a book probably since my middle school years, man. Just sit down and read a novel,
Well, dude, you need to get you some audiobooks and listen to, man. They're absolutely amazing, like Michael Dunlop and John Hopkins Leathered, which was one of the best autobiographies out there when it comes to motorcycle racing. It's dude, you should absolutely So the podcast, what podcast do you usually listen to?
This is about the only one that I do listen to. I don't ever intentionally go listen to shows unless it's this one. We spoke, when did we talk? A couple weeks ago when I heard Paul McKee on the show, and then we got on the phone after. Usually when you're doing your shows, it's either right now or it's like after work one day. I'll get home, throw the doors open, put my phone on my big speaker in my shop and just blast it while I'm working on something. So it's like background noise. and somebody I know and conversations that I would be having and feedback from somebody that I see at the track or either I know of. It's such an intertwined sport. Even though there's millions of variables, it's like you can be on the same page as any of the guys because we're all going through the same thing. We all have different vantage points. And I could sit here and listen to the same guy that I know very, very well for 10, 12 hours or talk to him all weekend at Tally or at Barber or somewhere and learn something every time and vice versa. Like Shane Maggs and I talk every time he's there. Show up, give him a big hug. Like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? You know, do you need this? You need that? Oh, you have this going on? Give me like 45 minutes to unload and like take a shower or something. I'll come back. We'll talk. We'll tinker with it. Or either no, everything's good. Let's just sit down and hang out for a few.
Love it. I absolutely love it, man. Yeah, and dude, I've met so many friends doing this in the sport, dude. Dude, it's an absolute honor to everybody. It's absolutely amazing. Can't wait to meet Shane. I'm gonna meet Shane in Atlanta. I'm gonna see all my other friends. It's gonna be, man, I can't wait, dude. I'm almost more excited to go to Road Atlanta than I am to go to MotoGP. I cannot lie because I'm going with my best friend in MotoGP. Yes, dude, I can't wait to hang out with him. But when I go to Moto America, it's like I know so many people there and so many riders.
Yeah.
And I just walk around the paddock and give hugs and do live videos. Yeah, I can't wait. It's absolutely amazing. So let me ask you this. I know you don't watch TV and all that. So I usually ask people either Star Wars or Star Trek or Marvel or DC since you don't really watch any of that, do you?
Star Wars, or if you're able to put it in there, Lord of the Rings. Love me some Lord of the Rings. And you're talking about a Lord of the Rings fiend, Brian, my teammate. He is he's not really a nerd, but if there's anything he nerds out on, it's Lord of the Rings. And by the way, before I forget, my buddy Mason that goes to the track with us just showed up.
What is up, Mason? What is happening?
Unannounced. It's his birthday today, actually.
Dude, big shout out. Happy birthday, Mason, brother, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to be careful about how much attention we give him because he'll go take it and run with it. So we try to give him little bits at a time.
That's hilarious. I love it. So let me ask you this. What Star Wars character would you be, Paul?
Dude, I think I would be Han Solo or either Chewbacca, man. Chewbacca looks like he has a good time.
Chewbacca, of course he has a good time, right? Food. What is Paul's favorite food?
Carbonara, spaghetti noodles, guanciale, Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, egg yolks.
Making me hungry right now as we speak, right? So I love all kinds of food, like spicy Thai food, Greek food, Indian food. I love all that. But, staying fit, I know you do fitness and you eat really healthy because you got to in racing, right? But what is your one favorite cheat meal you do? Everybody's got one favorite cheat meal.
My mom makes a pretty mean beef stew, and it's fairly healthy, but it's freaking hearty as heck. And then she makes lemon squares, so she'll call me up like before my birthday or Christmas or something. Hey, what do you want for your birthday or Christmas? I'm like, I need beef stew and lemon squares and like 3 days to eat it all and not even socialize. I'm just going to sit here and do this number.
Then go run for 3 weeks. Oh, I turned my microphone and then go run for 3 weeks straight. Dude, my microphone, it's so sensitive. If my it just cuts off and on. So yeah. Dude, that's awesome, man. Awesome. So let me ask you this. Who is your celebrity crush?
I don't really think I have a celebrity crush, but I guess on that topic, I love a lot of like female vocalists. So Lana Del Rey is one of my favorite singers. She's really cool. But celebrity crushes, man, I don't know. You? I don't know.
I love it. Great. And that's the best answer I ever had on the show. He said, you. I love it, man. I love it. Me, dude. I mean, Salma Hayek is for me, man. Salma Hayek is just, absolutely. Let me ask you this, Paul. What advice would you give your younger self?
Jump, dude. Like when it's time, you gotta. If you have an urge to do something, especially in this kind of psycho sport. If you want to do it, you need to try to do it as soon as you can. Like, I know a lot of people, they say, oh, go ahead and travel. The money will return. You won't get these years back. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but with racing, I don't think there's any kind of sport or hobby that you will make a way for other than racing. People call it being bitten by the bug. They call it an addiction, all these other things. You'll find a way to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think that people hold off on doing it until they try it the first time. And it's like, what have I been doing this whole time?
What have I been missing this whole time? Right. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years, Paul, as far as racing goes?
Man, I've been thinking about that. I'm going to stay racing. I don't know if I'll fully run a series like I have before for championships outside of endurance. I think we'll really like endurance. If we do, then I will try to run full endurance series year after year, and also do a couple of random sprints here and there. Brian, my teammate, is wanting to go to Moto America to do a couple of rounds. It's a bucket list type deal. And if it works out, it works out. So a lot of the time and energy I'd be putting into myself, since I wanted to kind of back up from series racing anyway, I'm just putting it straight into him. And we're going to see if we can go to Moto America, have a good time, and see if we can get somewhere, learn a lot of things, get faster. That's the whole idea,
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. Dude, that's awesome. So are you a beer or a wine drinker?
I'm a beer guy, actually.
Look, he got one right there. That's awesome. What is that, a Miller High Life?
No, heck no, man. It's a Mick Ultra Pure Gold. Mason just pranced in here and sat a case down. He's like, here you go.
I've never even had that. I've never even tried that. I'm going to have to try one. Good stuff. So let me ask you this, man. Before we get off here, it's my last question for you, and then I'm going to let you give all your shout-outs, and I'll do mine too. Yeah. But who is the most famous person you have in your phone?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I got the chief of police in my phone for my town. I don't know. Guys like Shane, or I don't know if you call any of us racers that famous. I've met Cal Ripken when I was a kid, Cal Ripken Jr. Some of my friends I used to do some maintenance for, they're good friends with Phil Heath, the Olympia bodybuilder.
Yep.
Like, know him personally.
Nice.
So I don't know. I guess I'm pretty lame, man. I don't know a whole lot of. I know some cool folks, not famous folks.
I hear you, brother, man. I hear you. Well, listen, dude, this has been an absolute honor. We're almost an hour and 15 into this, but before we get off here, me and Paul, because I want to go enjoy this beautiful Sunday, and he's got some beer to drink with his buddy, and it's his birthday, so they got a bunch of stuff to do. Paul, give all your shout outs. How can people find you on social media? How can they follow you? How can they support you?
So my Instagram is not as racing related, so I won't worry about that one. But Facebook is just my name, Paul Pendergrass. I don't have a website yet. My friend Glenn Wilson is going to build my website for me. We're going to try to start doing shirts again and stickers, maybe some package deals with that, wristbands, something like that. I'm going to post all that stuff on my personal Facebook as soon as we get it up and going site-wise. We've pondered doing YouTube, but right now it's just my personal Facebook, and I will definitely post whenever we make a team page, because my personal Facebook is kind of taken over with just the racing stuff and posting race reports and Brian's stuff and Glenn's stuff. But shout out wise, man, my teammate Brian Fairchild, my buddy Shane Maggs you had on here, Paul McKee you had on here, Mason that bust up in here on his birthday, and I know he doesn't want to be anywhere but here,
That's right.
My good friend Daniel DeBlasi, who lives in Mooresville, North Carolina, him and his girlfriend come to the track. Generally the same races we do. Tons of help, good time. We go out and eat, or we cook there. It's a community, and lots of great folks in the paddock every time we go.
That's right. Absolute honor to be part of this circus. 110% honored to be part of it. So yeah, listen, before we get off here, I have a couple shout outs I have to give out. First one, BSB testing this today. So there's a couple shout outs I got to give because I got a lot of friends racing in BSB. So my first shout out is my buddy Jake Marsh. He has a Club 45. He still got some slots filled. Please go sign up for the Club 45. He is an absolute legend. He will be a future champion as well as Paul will be in the endurance series this year, but we'll get to that. Big shout out to my man, Luca Allen, Harry Cook, Braden Elliott, Tom Neve, Mike Smith, Caden Wilkerson, Cameron Frazier, Finn Wheaton, my man Julian Carrera, right here in the British Talent Cup. Big shout out to him. He has a club called Club 40. He's still got some slots left. My mate Finn Wheaton's got a club. He's got all my friends I just said in BSB's got clubs. So go join, sign up. It helps them out tremendously. It's much appreciated. Big shout out to my man Martin at the Clothing Kings. All you guys can go to the clothingkings.co.uk and order all your Pendergrass merch, whether it's a hat, a jacket, a beanie, whatever. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Martin. Big shout out to Michael Carrera and the whole SFL Mini GP. Anybody in the whole United States or in the world that want to go down and learn the racecraft, whether you're 4 and 5 years old or you're 60 years old and you always wanted to drag your lead, dude, look no further. I promise you, it's probably the best series we have is that goes in the world, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
They already have Avery, the Lap Slayer Dreyer, as a championship Moto America. So that just speaks volumes for itself, all about SFL Mini GP. Man, listen, I had an absolute blast, Paul. It's an absolute amazing time. It's an absolute honor to have you on, and it's much appreciated. Much love to everybody that watches and likes and subscribes to the podcast. You guys are absolutely amazing. This episode will be uploaded on Spotify, iHeart. It'll be everywhere but Apple. I'm not on Apple now because, Paul, I need to save up money. I need a new laptop because my laptop's so old. Apple's like, no, absolutely not. You need to update this firmware, which my computer's like, I'm too old. I can't do it. So I'm everywhere but there. But listen, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys, your Sunday is just as mega as you are. Go spend time with all your loved ones, your family and your friends. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. But when you guys see me again, it's going to be coming from Coda and from Road Atlanta. So stay tuned. Dude,
Right on.
Paul, what'd you think about that?